Hi there, this is Sandra Wiley. I'm the president of Boomer Consulting, and I'm also the facilitator of an amazing group of people called the Talent Circle team. And they are human resources folks from across the nation, and they come together. We've been coming together about once a week to talk about COVID-19, best practices, things that are going on, things that are worrying you. And today I'm going to give you lessons from the talent peeps part 2. I'm doing that because I really think that what they come up with is amazing. So today we had 35 amazing people on this call, and the wonderful conversation that we started last week continued today. These are amazing professionals and are forward-thinking, innovative, and they're motivated to help shepherd their firms through the COVID-19 craziness. We were on our Zoom call and we used chat and Conference.io to share best practices with each other. This was a continuation of the conversation we started last week. So this week, the topics were spring and summer interns. What are you doing? Well, some of them were continuing just like they always had been. They were absolutely putting spring and summer interns into place. In some cases, they were extending that spring intern into the summer based on the new parameters that we have. In some cases, they were just hiring outright right away and skipping the whole intern thing completely. So there was a lot going on. In every case, no matter what they were doing, they were actually doing everything virtual, as you might imagine. And that had changed some of the ways they were doing things, but it had not slowed them down at all. The second topic was, if you're self-insured, how are you navigating that? What changes are you having to make? There were a few firms on the call that were self-insured. They said that basically they were just making sure that they had all of the paperwork in place that would allow them to navigate through all of the new laws and new rules and regulations that are out there. You know, I'm just going to look at my notes here because this was an interesting conversation. The reality is they were trying to navigate through the Family First Corona Response Act and make sure that they had everything in their self-insured policies in place to help handle all of that. So that was a great conversation. And I think the value that came out of that was for those that were absolutely self-insured, they found out that in most cases they were in good shape. We also talked about the whole work from home, FFCRA, the Families First Corona Response Act, and how the Employees Sick Act and the Family and Medical Leave Act were all being played out. And here's what I thought was fascinating. Almost every firm that was on this call today had either started taking proactive measures and getting the right forms in place so that they truly could be ready for it when their employees ask, or firms that many of them that already had people that were using this act and they had figured out the ways to make sure they had the right documentation, make sure that they were supporting their employees, make sure that they were doing the right things. You know what I heard that I'm not sure that this really came out and was a major point for them, but it was for me. What I heard when we talked about the new acts that are out was that they cared about their employees and they were going to do what they needed to do to help and take care of them, which I found amazing. We also talked about essential businesses. Are you one of them? And what is it that you need to do when you are an essential business? And there was great conversation, and much of it you've probably heard before. An essential business is, yes, we are one of those as a CPA firm. Most of them had everybody working from home already, and they only had a few people in the office. Occasionally I heard people say, you know, we're doing a skeleton crew, maybe 9 people in the office to make sure they're well apart from each other. But what really was interesting to me on this one is that we morphed into a conversation on phone systems, because people were talking about, well, when they're home, like our administrative staff, when they're home, we just had them pick up their phone and take it home with them. And somebody said, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? You should have a system that absolutely travels with the computer. And so Mark Stout, our CIO, is on the call today. And they asked Mark, what are some of the systems that people are using today that really make a difference? And so the ones that he mentioned were 8x8, Ring Central, Zoom phone, Skype, Teams, and UC1. So the reality is for everyone there, most of them didn't even need a phone anymore. And most of them could do it just right from their computer, like many of you are right now. Another good conversation was around stipends from home work. So think about it. You've got your people out at home now. All of the office supplies that they need, all of the equipment they need might be back at the office. So now what do? There was a couple of firms that I thought really did something innovative. They actually really wanted people to leave all of their equipment that was on their desk at the office and then only take their computer home with them. In one case, several years ago, they had actually set up a little package and said, if you go home to work, here's what we're going to give you. We're going to give you 2 monitors. We're going to give you a scanner. We're going to give you a docking station. So we're just going to give you that. So if you're going to work from home, you get that. They did it 2 years ago. So when they were ready to go virtual, it was just a piece of cake. Another firm said, we didn't quite get it done before we started what we're going through right now. But what we do now is we still tell them leave everything on their desk. We're going to give you $150 when you get back home. You order what you need. We want you to have monitors. We want you to have a camera. We want you to have whatever you need. You get $150. We're going to give you that budget. Other firms said, we weren't quite there, but we do give them a stipend for office supplies. So one firm said, we thought, we're going to be home for about 6 weeks. So we gave them $150 and said, that's your stipend. If you need paper, if you need whatever you need, that's what we're going to give you. And if it goes beyond the 6 weeks, they'll give them $25 a week past that. So firms are really thinking about this. And I think they're really, again, caring for their team. The last couple of questions were around communication and teams. And gosh, I just can't even tell you, there were so many great ideas that firms are having around communication tools and how are we communicating with our team members. I think I'll do a completely different video on that maybe later in this week because I think that conversation was just spectacular. And the last thing was HR. Has anybody been kind of pulled into the revenue producing side of the world? And are our partners asking our HR professionals to become consultants to their clients? And the overwhelming response was there were many people on the call that did have a setup like that. But what they said was you have to keep them separate. If you're going to be internal, be internal. And if you're going to be a consultant externally, be that. But if you try to do both, somebody's going to win. And guess who's going to win? The client. And the firm could suffer because of that. So breaking those apart is a really good idea. I'm going to tell you, the wisdom that came out of this group is just incredible. And I am thrilled to share it with you today. I want you to know more about what's going on. So watch for part 3 of Lessons from the Talent Peeps in about a week. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Have a good one.